Now we're going to zip on through the next one.
Hey, you're just good at these transitions.
Thank you. Some people will call it corny. That's okay, though.
Hey,
I take pride in my
it's
corniness.
It's good. It works.
Friends in the family. Calling out my family. All right. Here for more. Or, yeah.
Hello.
Here for more.
Welcome back.
To morning coffee.
Morning coffee. Just so you know, we don't sing. If that didn't make things clear.
Yeah. I'm not even going to harm
harm?
your beautiful eardrums.
Yeah, sorry. My bad.
No. Like, I'm not even going to try to.
Yeah, I shouldn't.
So we're just gonna jump right into it. I usually try to be very good about having good transitions.
But this one's kind of difficult to do.
Yeah, it's just not knowing or looking into it or not looking into it. What could I be talking about?
I literally if I didn't know what topic you're talking about, I'd be so confused right now.
Well, I'm trying to confuse.
Probably are.
You're confused and you're saying, Marilyn, just tell me, what topic is it?
What should I be doing with my life, right? Those are other questions we get.
And the topic is...
Astrology.
Which I'm going to just say right off the bat, this is definitely not an area of expertise for me.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely not something that I would have looked into on a regular normal day, a Maryland day. It just would not have crossed my mind. But I can tell you that I know a lot more about astrology than I did before I researched this.
Very true.
So I think a great way to get started with it is to define what is astrology.
Okay, astrology. Astrology derives from the Greek words for star and ologia, which is the study of. So the study of the stars.
Right, and mine says it's the study of the influence that distant cosmic objects, usually stars and planets, have on human lives. Which is just really saying all these space, yes, the universe, thanks, has on a human life. Now, most people know about astrology in their quote-unquote sign, which refers to one of the 12 constellations of the zodiac, which we will, I guess, dive a little deeper into it. But one thing that I did see is within Western astrology, which is us. They break it down into... the ones I saw were 3 different ones, which is mundane astrology, interrogatory astrology, and natal astrology. Probably not something that I am in the future going to look deep down into. Yeah. But there are those 3 out there that if you're ever curious about the difference between mundane, interrogatory, and natal, I would encourage you just to see what it has to offer and what it's all about.
Well, I have the main descriptions of what they are. So mundane just examines world events and makes predictions about national affairs, wars, and economies. Oh. So there's that. What is it? Interrogatory? Okay. Seeks to make specific predictions about the subjects or persons. Okay. In their events within their lives. Then natal seeks to make predictions and analysis based on a person's birth. So that's the one we usually hear about. Natal. Oh, okay. And so you have, your birth chart. And so I dove deep into it. I even figured out my birth chart.
Oh, nice.
Do you know what your sign is?
When
people ask. Yeah.
What's your?
Yeah.
I'm a Virgo.
Okay, Virgo. I'm a Gemini.
Oh.
Yeah. Gemini.
Okay, I didn't look into each one, but I do remember distinctly about these signs every time I talk about horoscopes and all of that. I remember back when everyone had a Yahoo email. Not that I'm dissing Yahoo, I'm just saying that I don't hear much about it anymore.
Sorry, Yahoo.
But back when we were all getting to emails and I had a Yahoo email, they would have a section where it was about horoscopes.
Yeah.
And I was very adamant about like reading into it. Now, I remember every single time I would read it, I was like, this has nothing to do with what I'm going on. I mean, keep in mind I was like 14 or 15, so
yeah. The whole world in chaos back then.
Yeah, and it had it had nothing to do with me. Or in my head, I was reading, I was like, yeah, not me. Yep, but I loved reading into it. And
yeah, it's interesting. Like, even though I know I don't believe that it's true, I was still like, huh.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even read my own. I would read mine, and then I would go back and I'm like, oh, what about this one? And oh, what about this one? And I would just kind of
to be Sagittarius.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like exactly this week for
Okay, so for that is like you have your birth chart, which is the snapshot of the sky of the day and time and stuff that you're born, and so that is what gives predictions like who you are, what you'll be like, and so there's different signs. And so the way I read it was like you have like your inner circle of planets. So you have your Mercury, Venus, and Mars. And then you have, so those are each different signs that you have, and then you have your ascending sign ascendant or rising sign, which are the rest of the planets, which are Jupiter through Pluto.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so, and then they have houses, and there's 12 of those.
Okay.
Did you read into the houses and stuff?
No, that I didn't.
Okay, I did.
Go for it.
But I'll come back to that.
Okay.
Because that one's, I don't understand this.
Oh.
And I think it's something that somebody has to study for a long time to completely understand it.
Gotcha.
Which is not where I'm at. And so, like, I kind of just set mine up and stuff because you have to know the exact time you were born. Oh. Because I guess it changes.
Yeah, I did read into, like, how times and dates and...
Yeah.
Just, like...
Make all the difference in the world.
And then I also saw that I think it changes, like, based off of, like, the sun, and then there's the moon, and then... Like,
yeah, you have your sun sign, your moon sign.
There you go,
And then your Mercury, Venus, Mars.
Okay, that's
And then your rising sign, which is the rest of the planets. And then, like, I think those are in certain houses, and, like, where they're at in each house.
Okay.
Kind of tells you. And so, again, we're not experts. We have no idea what we're doing. But, so your sun sign represents your outer self and how you present yourself to other people. Oh. So your ego and stuff. Your moon sign represents beneath the surface, so you're emotional and how you are in your inner self. Oh. And then Mercury represents communication. Okay. Venus is interest in emotions and values and exchange and sharing with others. So I guess that's just connecting with other people. And Mars signs the desire for action, physical energy. Now, again, we're not experts, so if you know more about this, please let me know. It's interesting, and I do want to learn more about it. It's a lot. Yeah. And I don't think I could get into that. But there are 12 houses. I guess it represents the plot.
I guess time passing.
Yeah, I guess. I'm so confused. But like each one's different. So your first house is the area of self-identity and how one acts in life and is seen by others and their attitude towards life. The second house, material security and values, so money and personal finances and the sense of self-worth. 3, the area of social intellectual learning. 4, home, family roots and deep emotions. 5, area of creative self-expression, romance, entertainment, children and gambling. Gambling.
Wow. All in the same
that one house,
Wow. Okay. That's
I mean, there's more. Area of learning by material transaction. I have no idea what that means.
Maybe like that's like assets and because what was it again?
Area of learning by material transaction.
Material.
And so I try to find like the dummy version of everything, and I still couldn't find it. And so I don't know like where.
Which makes sense. What you're saying, like you have to
like, dig deep and be like taught. And so like there's people like they're not psychics, right?
I would think that it may be like within the realm, but I think that's a little that branches off a little bit, maybe. Okay. I mean, please correct us if we're wrong, because
this is a completely new subject that we have no idea.
And even going, I mean, we definitely wanted to present the term, the existence of it, and just like how there's like so much study into it.
Yeah.
And of course we know it on just like the popularity, even like in the Hispanic culture, like there was this guy that would, you know, present, and you know, there are people who do follow like the signs and kind of like what it means for you, or defining your personality as a person based oh, well, you're like in your example, oh, you're a Gemini, so these signs you would get along with, and you know, that kind of, but it's also going off of like a very general like perspective, like a description of just like, okay, you're this and that, may apply, may not apply, you know, but you're like that, you know.
Yeah, I feel like, sorry to people who believe in astrology, but I feel like it's just a very broad description of anybody, and it could literally apply to any person.
Right, just also depending on like your experiences, your upbringing, and like actually on one of the articles that I was reading, it was kind of just talking about like the placebo effect of like, can horoscopes make people feel better, and how, you know, he was saying like it's not necessarily because the horoscope is right, but because of like the psychological effect it has on, like, you know, when the belief in a method, you know, makes you feel better because it could be correct, or it could make you feel better about like, oh, this is close to me, so, you know, it's kind of taking on that idea of like, I'm using this horoscope, you know, some of it is very similar to me, so I'm going to take that on, and it's going to help me like develop me, or
okay, I read into mine, and some of it I'm like, thank you.
What'd you learn?
Okay, so she's an opportunist.
Okay.
Expresses herself easily. This is just what it wrote. I literally copying it and pasted it. Is welcoming and gentle. Likes travel and intellectual work. There's a part that says, I would be very attractive, so thank you. Sociable, intelligent. I'm not sociable, so I know like that doesn't click. But then it also states like does very good like staying at home and prefers that, which that is very true. You know how much it takes to get me to leave my house. But I mean, like some of the things, it's like, oh, adapts very easily to like a various number of people and stuff like that. But it's literally could apply to any person, not necessarily a person born.
And you know, that kind of reminds me, I feel like this is more on like I don't want to call it scientific, but this is more on like an astronomical, well, obviously because it's astronomy, but I'm trying to compare it to like personality tests. Yeah. It's kind of what it reminds me of, in a sense, because like even when you take a personality test, it's giving you results based off of the way that you're answering, which is not to say that it's 100% accurate, but it gives you an idea of, like, I don't know why I just made that noise. I'm sorry. That was not legit. Of your results, right? So I feel like it may not be the same thing, but it kind of gears over the same concept of like using, you know, like a formula or a general like you said, time and date, and you put all these together, and this is kind of like the equation, and this is what it results like. All these effects, so this is your personality, or this is what you lean more towards. Same with like a personality test, like sometimes it's a multiple choice, like in this scenario what would you prefer, this or this, or you know, and so then you get a result. And of course on some of them it's like not to the dot, but it'll gather a very general. So again, it's just like, well, I mean, I can relate on some stuff, but you're not defining me 100%. You know?
And so I think it's great. It's like, this is what you could be like, but obviously this is completely your decision of what you're going to be and what like your environment is going to make you out to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it's not like, this is who I am completely, please read up on it and please follow every single instruction of how to take care of me as a human being.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, and so it's kind of that. But like what I thought was so interesting was, it wasn't a fight, but NASA kind of came for astronomy. Astrology. Not astronomy. Astronomy is a science. Astrology is what we're talking about. But they were like, NASA stated that they would actually be a 13th star sign, which is Ophiuchus. I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm sorry, NASA, don't at me. But And so people were like, what are you talking about? There's supposed to be 12. It's blah, blah, blah. And he was like, no, it's literally that. They literally fixed it so it would fit the 12-month calendar.
Oh.
And so they left that one out and kind of adjusted things. So people were like, well, so I'm not... I think it was like their zodiac sign kind of changed based off... Like, if you added that in, you wouldn't actually be, I think, like a Taurus. You'd actually be something else.
Uh-huh.
And so people were like, wait, what are you talking about? You're going to change things?
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, wow, NASA just... kind of came for it, you know. But yeah, but did you like? There's a study or a poll in 2014 that said more than half of 18 to 24-year-olds believe astrology was a real science. More than half.
If you're between 18 and 24, ask yourself that question: do you fall within that percentage? Are you one of those people that believes that this is a real science? Not calling anybody out. Just if you're listening, just, you know, was that one of you?
I mean,
and the poll was done in 2014, so we know it's not a 2020.
Yeah, 6 years ago.
But 6 years ago, that many people did think.
Yeah.
That it was a real science.
And I'm trying to find something more recent. I didn't find anything. So I don't know what people believe now. Hopefully
they're more caught up on.
Yeah, they know that it's not a science. Sorry.
Yep.
But it's not. But the main reason I want to look into this was like, what it doesn't mean when people say Mercury's in retrograde. Because I hear that all the time.
Mercury's a what?
Retrograde. Yeah, so basically retrograde is when a planet appears to reverse in direction. At least from Earth. So it looks like it's spinning the opposite way. But it's not really. It just looks like that for us. And so what happens is it means it has negative connotations like on people. So like during when Mercury is in retrograde, that means there'll be a lot of experiences of miscommunication, misunderstandings, scheduling issues, and disagreement with friends. And Mercury enters retrograde about 3 to 4 times a year.
Okay.
Yeah, but like I always hear like randomly like Mercury's in retrograde, but I'm like, is it really though?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
So like, if something goes wrong, like if we were scheduled to meet like at 7:00 and I'm like, oh, I completely forgot. I thought it was at 8:00 or something. Like, well, Mercury's in retrograde. That's how I hear it a lot. And
right. Kind of like using that as, I guess, an excuse or as a validation of why something got delayed or something went wrong or there was, okay.
Like, Mercury's in retrograde, that just means it's happening a lot now. Which kind of upsets me because I don't want to be, like, coming for anybody who, you know, believes strongly in astrology, but, like, it happens. Something happened wrong. We miscommunicated. It happens, but don't blame it on Mercury. Poor Mercury is just living its life.
Which, speaking of...
coming at...
Yes.
After planets?
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to move on to this next topic.
Yeah. This one's a very big topic for people our age.
I am hurt by this. I am hurt by this. I'm... Still to this day, we're talking about Pluto. It was thought to be the 9th planet of our system for 75 years until the discovery of, we're going to pronounce it, Eris, and other similar objects that led to its demotion from a planet to a dwarf planet in 2006.
This one hurt, like...
You're telling me that I'm going to school so you can teach me, well, as a child, yes, I'm blindsided by it, so I'm going to believe what you're telling me because you're making me take exams on this, so I'm going to believe what you're telling me, and then as I progress in my education, as I progress, I get older, and then you hit me with, Pluto is not a planet. Can you remember all of those like acronyms or those what are they called? Just like memorize it to help you memorize the order of them.
And like they have to change it because they no longer included P for Pluto.
Man, that was wrong.
I literally have a button that says Pluto will always be a planet to me.
Can we find that button?
If someone asks me, I'm literally going to be like, there are 9 planets. I don't know what you're talking about. Pluto literally stays in it.
It does. It really does. I mean, come on, guys. 75 years. Like, I understand the science. Like, that's the goal. You keep improving. You keep researching. You keep trying to get better, disproving things, and, you know, like, moving on and on. But you just couldn't keep it as a planet. Like, you didn't hurt. It didn't hurt to keep it as a planet. I mean, and the crazy thing is that, like, to this day, and this is not just, like, common citizens. Let's call ourselves common citizens. This is not just us that we're, like, so indignified and upset about it. Like, people within the NASA organization, some of them are still against it as well. Like, the fact that it was just, like, voted, like, hey, demoting Pluto.
Okay, so the people you have to come at to be like, hey, why'd you do this? Is the IAU, or the International Astronomical Union.
Yep.
They're the ones who define what a planet is. And so they're the ones that said, well, sorry, Pluto doesn't technically meet everything.
Which, I'm so glad you brought that up. Here are fun facts. Let me share with you. Make sure I can not drop things while I do this. So there are 3 rules. Or 3 criteria. There we go. Requirements that Pluto had to meet to make sure that it stayed as a planet. The first one was that the object must be in orbit around the sun. Check. The object must be massive enough to be rounded by its own gravity. Check. And the third one was it must have cleared the neighborhood around its orbit. That one is the one that it failed to meet, because its mass is substantially less than the combined mass of the other objects in its orbit, which is 0.07 times, in contrast to the Earth, which is 1.7 million times the remaining mass in the orbit without the moon. All of that may seem like gibberish. Point is, there's 3 criteria. The third one, they find out that Pluto does not meet. And so it gets demoted. And I guess before we continue on to kind of how this all came about, let's just take it a step back and enjoy Pluto for a little bit and talk about fun facts and things.
Go back to the good old days.
The good old days and the things that we did learn about it. One of the biggest things that I learned about this, which I did not learn about this when I was little, so shame on me, but I did learn this not too long ago, was that Pluto was actually named after the Roman god of the underworld, which is the equivalent, if you're into Greek mythology, the god of the underworld was Hades. So in Roman mythology, the Roman god is Pluto.
And it was actually, the name was actually suggested by an 11-year-old named Venetia Burney. Sorry if I pronounced her name wrong. But she suggested the name for Pluto in 1930.
Yeah, which I thought was really cool. Like,
yeah,
you know, he came up with it, and then it got voted. I think. I read also that one of the reasons why they were so inclined to that name was because, like, the first letters, like the PL, were similar to some popular name. He was an important guy. I should probably look this up, but I do have it on my notes. But and so that was also kind of like a persuasion as to why they decided to go for Pluto. Now, Pluto is made primarily out of ice and rock, and it is 1/6 of the moon's mass and 1/3 of its volume.
The distance from the sun is an average of 3.7 billion miles. That's a lot.
It has 5 moons, which, you want to take it away?
Sure, I'm pronouncing them all wrong.
That's why I wouldn't say it.
Charon?
I'm going to call that one Sharon.
Sharon?
Even though it's
Charon.
We're going to call that one Sharon.
Sorry. Sharon, Nyx, Hydra, Kerberos? Again, sorry. And then Styx. Styx is the 5th one.
I'd like to be Hydra.
Okay, calm down.
That one sounds like it would have superpowers.
That's true.
And then one day on Pluto lasts about 153 hours, while the whole trip around the sun is completed in about 248 years. So, fun fact, Pluto has not orbited fully around the sun.
I know, poor
to
thing.
This day.
When it was discovered till the day it was told it was no longer a planet, it didn't even make it around the sun.
It didn't even make it around the sun.
They didn't let him have his time to shine.
Also, the temperature on Pluto ranges from like negative 375 to negative 400 degrees. So if you've ever thought about wanting to live there, which I don't know who's thought about it, you'd probably freeze.
Yeah. There's actually a heart-shaped glacier the size of Texas and Oklahoma on Pluto. It's so cute.
It is. It has a lot of love for us.
We still love you, Pluto.
Now, I found this very interesting. In 2006, the American Dialect Society voted Plutoed as the word of the year. To Pluto is to demote or devalue someone or something, which I think is amazing. And from now on, I'm just going to... You've been Plutoed.
Boom.
Can we bring that back? Can we be the ones to coin the comeback of being Plutoed?
Just at basketball games or something. You've been Plutoed.
Like, can we beat the teens nowadays that come up with this lingo of being salty? Well, we're not. That's what I'm saying. But, like, can we be cooler than that as young adults and just let's bring this back. Let's bring a lot of love for Pluto. You know, even if you don't care, just go along with it, guys.
Yeah. Just
be team players. Be that person.
Just start saying Pluto randomly throughout the day.
You've been Plutoed.
See if it catches on. Pluto was discovered on February 18th, 1930 by Clyde Tombaugh at the Lau Observatory. And what's really cool is the, what is it? The rocket or something? The thing that they sent to pass it by?
No, not the satellite.
Whatever it's called. Actually has the ashes of the one that discovered it.
Oh, I did read that.
That was so cute. Like, hey, look, thank you for the thing you added to the science world.
To history, yeah.
Yeah.
That is true. Also, just a quick note to the Pluto's moons. They were also named for other mythological figures that were associated with the underworld. So that's actually something cool. There's more information on that. So if you want to read on that, if you're into like Greek mythology, Roman mythology, like that's actually really cool. So
I've never really done, Roman mythology? Yeah.
You know, I have to thank Percy Jackson, the book, the series.
Yeah, I thought that's great.
Well, this is a cool thing. All right.
Let's go on our own tangent.
They're gonna sponsorship. So the first 5 books is Greek mythology.
Okay.
Then it has like a second, like almost like a second season. Really, like these are put it like each book is a big episode.
Okay.
And so that's like the first season, and then the second one brings those like main characters, but then it involves Roman mythology.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's kind of like you have this Greek mythology world, right?
Uh-huh.
And then they find out there's like another. Oh, hopefully this is not a spoiler alert. Sorry, guys. There's like another camp that's similar to theirs, but it's Roman. So then they realize, wow, like we're equivalents of each other.
Yeah.
But different mythology. So
I need to read that. I mean, it's sure. It's really...
Rick Riordan, really good. I have the books right here in my library.
I need to read those.
It's really good. Honestly, it's easy read. It's really cool. I find it very interesting. When we used to learn this in school, I was really into it. So, we're going to foreshadow that you're going to be hearing a mythology episode.
Yeah.
Sometime in the future.
Already. Because you handle Roman and I handle Greek. Actually, you do both because you seem to know what you're talking about.
I'm going to have to like reread the books. But that's honestly how I learned a lot about it. Like, or how I got into it. I started reading it in... I think it was 6th grade or 8th grade.
I feel like every kid had that phase though. Like you either did Roman or Greek mythology.
Mm-hmm. But they also had you. They taught that to us in school, right?
Yeah, is that the with
It was in English.
Yeah, it was English.
Mm-hmm.
The Odysseus. No, that's not it.
With the like. Yeah,
is that the
with the on the boat.
Yeah.
And they had to like not listen or something like, or they had to tie him down, and they would go through this certain.
With the sirens.
Yes. I just kind of magically made my laptop turn on. Sorry.
But the sirens are what, like evil mermaids? Kinda.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel we should say this for the mythology.
Yes.
Because I think that should be its own separate episode.
Yeah, it will. And of course, if there's a specific like god or lowercase god, just to clarify. Let us know. We will definitely make sure that we bring up certain stories, because that in itself is gonna, there's so much to it. So we'll cover it.
Yeah. Is there like multiple, like something else beyond Greek and Roman gods?
That I would have to look into.
There...
Like even more versions or like different. I would have to.
Interesting.
But those are the most popular ones that I know of.
Yeah.
This
is sad to say that I really only know a lot about Hades and the underworld. Can you tell that something about me from that? But yeah.
Now we're gonna zip on through the next one.
Dude, you're just good at these transitions.
Thank you. Some people will call it corny. That's okay though. Hey, I take pride in my corniness.
It's good. It works.
Friends in the family. Calling out my family. All right. So then, if you didn't catch on to that corny joke or corny transition, we are gonna be talking about
zippers.
Zippers. All right. Again, I'm gonna take blame from this one. I kid you not that the whole time that I was researching this, I would occasionally look down to my jacket, like my whatever sweater jacket I was wearing, and I would zip it up and down multiple times.
See how it worked?
I don't know. Okay, I will tell you. We will give you fun facts. We will give you history. We will teach you, but I don't know still to this day how a zipper works.
Because I'm doing this.
How are you gluing them together?
I don't get it. Like, props to the people who invented it, because I don't know how I would never have been able to think about it.
No.
It
is mind-blowing to me, honestly. Like, I know some of you guys are probably rolling your eyes like, okay, I don't really care. But honestly, guys, it's a very small invention that really makes a huge difference if you think about it. Like, nowadays, we don't even pay attention to it, but we expect it to function the way that it does. Kind of like what we were talking about in our last episode when we were talking about traffic lights and how it's just something that you accept. And so, you'll put on, you'll go on vacation and you'll zip up your luggage, or you put on your pants and you zip up your pants.
Yeah.
Or,
or sometimes forget. I don't know.
Or sometimes forget.
I think that's like the awkwardest situation where you're just like, do I tell them? I want to tell them, but I also don't want them to know that I was looking at them. We're like, but I just caught my eyes, so I'm sorry.
Yep. So again, it's just, there are things that we just expect them to work the way that they do, which is where I kind of came up with the idea, and I was like, I want to know like where this comes from. So the zipper, which is also known as a zip or zip fastener, is a mechanical device used to connect two edges of the fabric. For those of you who are not aware what zippers are.
The more you know.
Now the modern zippers are made to have two rows of protruding teeth, which are made to interconnect and lock when they pass through the slider, which is also part of the zipper, which sometimes you'll be wearing a jacket and you zip it up and your little teeth actually come undone. And then you have to zip it back down to connect it. You see why this is so mind-blowing, guys? Because you reverse the effect. I don't know. It's too much for me.
It's like, you think for how easy it is, it would be so simple to understand. But I still can't understand it. And I feel dumb not being able to understand like how it technically works. Yeah, so it's so confusing. Yeah, so if any of you guys have watched a video or have something that clearly, I'm talking about like to the basics, like 5-year-old basics, like can show me exactly how it functions, like please send that to me, because I feel like since we started researching this, it bothers. It's in the back of. Yes, I do. I still do, and I zip it up and down constantly, like holding it up to my eyes, hoping that I can see what magic goes on. Yeah, and then it's also hard to see because it's blocked on either side, so you can't even see the way they like connect. Ugh, whatever. But we can figure that part out. But we can tell you that Elias Howe, we're gonna call him Howe, who invented the sewing machine, is the one, he basically started up this idea. And so in 1851, he had a patent for automatic continuous clothing closure. Now, he didn't really fixate on this idea because his sewing machine invention kicked off so well that he didn't even bother to look into it or to build upon
the invention.
Imagine being somebody who created something so amazing like a sewing machine and then had another crazy idea and I'm like, I don't need that one. I'm good.
Now, I have a bunch of fun facts. So we know that sewing machine, Elias was the one that was kind of like who started it. But then we also have the modern zipper, which was eventually designed in 1913 by Gideon Sundback, who worked at the Universal Fastener Company, and they kind of did this, I guess, fair or World's Fair in Chicago. Didn't do so well. Wait, no, that was Whitcomb Judson. This was afterwards. He received... Sorry, guys. This guy, Sundback, did receive a patent for a separable fastener in 1917. Mm-hmm. Now, the people who got coined for the idea of, like, the zipper was B.F. Goodrich Company, which is in 1923. They actually called it the zipper. It was a big hit, and so that's kind of where the name came from. Now, fun fact time. According to global industry analysts, the global market for zippers is estimated at $8.2 billion in 2013 and is expected to hit $11.7 billion by 2018.
That's a lot of money.
Think about it. Something so small invention to...
Well, and then I guess you add it pretty much to everything.
Yes, which is, okay, now that you said that, there are 4.5 billion zippers of all kinds consumed in the U.S. per year, which is about 14 zippers for every American per year.
That's a lot of zippers.
That's a lot of Americans.
You think about two different things.
So every year, and the company that does a lot of this is YKK, produces enough zippers to wrap around the world 15 times. That's 1.2 million miles of zippers. Just let that sink in for a little bit. That's a lot.
Imagine having to zip that up and then watch it come undone at the end and have to zip back down.
That's funny. In fact, on July 20, 1969, when Neil Armstrong took one giant leap for mankind as the first man on the moon, guess what zipper kept his suit on?
The YKK.
The YKK company.
Look at you go. Being the first zipper on the moon.
Now, you can find YKK factories in 71 countries. And there are between 15 and 50 steps to make each YKK zipper because they actually manufacture like all the way to their like the coil and
oh, they do everything.
Yes.
Okay.
So it'll vary depending on like the material, but that's quite a few steps for this fancy. I'm gonna call it a fancy invention because it's still mind blowing to me if you haven't figured that out by now.
When you were talking about Sundback,
mm-hmm.
Sundback, Sun or Sund?
There's a D in there, so Sundback.
Okay.
Or maybe it's silent.
Again, we know how to pronounce words. Sorry. But when he was hired for the Universal Fastener Company,
mm-hmm.
he moved up so quickly because he married the plant manager's daughter.
Oh.
Which is so sweet. And so, like, they were together, and then she actually passed away. And so, when that happened, he, like, buried himself so much in work that he invented the zipper.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, sad for her death.
But I guess
we got the zipper.
When they say... No, I'm going to make up a saying right now. Never mind. I was going to say, when they say, grieving leads to great ideas. But
I don't know about that. I've never had it. Maybe that's why I don't have great ideas. Because I never grieve.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish we could edit it out. But again, guys,
we're trying not to edit things out. We'll probably forget about it. And be embarrassed when we put it out. Hi. In 1917, the U.S. Navy used windproof flying suits with slide fasteners, or the zipper, and that's kind of like they used a lot of it in the Navy because of that. Yeah,
and a lot of the functions of the zipper and what it was used for was mainly, that kind of area. It didn't actually become like a fashion statement until like 20 or so years later when it was started being used in boots. And then it, went on into clothing, because again, before that they were using buttons. Yeah, and that was like a thing.
It was funny when I saw like they decided to use zippers because it would have allowed kids to get ready by themselves until the parents didn't have to do anything about it. And so I get that you don't have to dress your child because the zipper's so easy.
That is true.
I mean, I think it's easy.
Zip. Well, except when it gets stuck and you're freaking out because
true.
I don't know if any of you guys have had a like freak out moment with zippers, but when they don't do what you want them to do, or when they get stuck, or those backpacks, those mesh ones, because I went to school. You had to use mesh backpacks.
You had to use mesh backpacks.
Yes, and I forgot the brand, but when you would that front pouch cover, it would break, and you had all of your pencils in there. That was devastating.
I don't think I've ever had a zipper like break on my backpack.
No.
No.
Okay.
But like I've had it where I've gotten, I don't know how this happened, but I got my hair caught in a zipper. Like trying to zip up my dress, and it hurt so bad because I couldn't get it down, and so I was like, I'm gonna have to get cut out of this dress. And I was in the fitting room. I was like, this is where I die. You're gonna come in and just be dead in a corner.
I've also pinched my skin with it though. That
hurts.
Yeah. Not cool. But that's what we have for you today. We talked about astrology, because you got that.
You got confused with astronomy.
Yeah, I just got that word stuck in my head. We talked about Pluto. You let us know if you're for or against. We're all for it being a planet. So, and then we talked about zippers. Now you know, if you're ever in a work meeting and you just don't have anything else to talk about, pull out that zipper story.
Do you know about the zippers and where it came from?
Yep. So again, we thank you for listening, and we will catch you
on the next one.
On our next episode.
Bye.
Bye, guys.